What if I told you that Max Verstappen, the four-time world champion who reigned supreme in Formula One for 4 consecutive seasons, could be living the final moments before making one of the most explosive moves ever recorded in the category? What if I told you that Mercedes may have discovered the secret formula to topple Red Bull and attract the most sought-after driver on the grid to its ranks? You would surely think that this is just another paddock rumor, more baseless speculation. However, the information I am about to share will show that this hypothesis is much more concrete than we could have imagined. The current Formula One landscape in 2025 is completely different from what we have seen in previous years. Max Verstappen, who seemed invincible driving his Red Bull, has seen his world turn upside down. With only 2 wins in 12 races, the Dutchman is in 3rd place in the overall standings, a surprising 69 points behind leader Oscar Piastri, representing McLaren. For a competitor accustomed to controlling every race weekend, this circumstance symbolizes not only a deterioration in performance, but also a profound reflection on his future with the team that took him to the pinnacle of world racing. As Verstappen goes through his most challenging season since 2022, speculation about a possible transfer to Mercedes has begun to intensify dramatically. Johnny Herbert, former Sky commentator and former FIA commissioner, made statements that sent seismic waves through the paddock. According to Herbert, Mercedes has created a real gem for the 2026 season, something so extraordinary that it would leave Verstappen completely fascinated. But what exactly is this gem that could persuade the 4-time champion to desert Red Bull? The solution lies in the regulatory changes that will come into force in 2026. Formula One will adopt 50% electrification, fully sustainable fuels, and active aerodynamics. These changes are as radical as those that revolutionized the sport in 2014, when Mercedes emerged as the dominant force and captured 8 consecutive constructors' titles. The similarity is no coincidence. Herbert drew parallels between the current situation and Lewis Hamilton's decision to leave McLaren to join Mercedes at the end of 2012, a gamble that turned out to be the most successful partnership in Formula One history. But what reason would Verstappen have for considering leaving a team that has given him 4 world titles? The answer lies in the turbulent background at Red Bull. The team is developing its own power unit for the first time, in collaboration with Ford, after ending its agreement with Honda. This audacious project represents a leap into the unknown. At the same time, rumors suggest that the development of Red Bull's new engine is not progressing as expected, raising doubts about the team's future competitiveness. The contrast with Mercedes is striking. The German team has already demonstrated its ability to anticipate regulatory changes and convert them into competitive advantage. In 2014, when hybrid engines were introduced, Mercedes not only executed perfectly, but dominated the category for almost 10 years. Now, with the 2026 changes approaching, reports indicate that Mercedes is once again ahead in development, while its competitors face various obstacles. Verstappen's position at Red Bull has become even more fragile with the departure of key team personnel. Internal instability, combined with deteriorating performance on the track, has created the ideal scenario for questions about the future. Verstappen's contract with Red Bull runs until 2028, but includes a performance clause that could release him at the end of this season. If he remains below 4th place in the championship after the Hungarian Grand Prix, the Dutch driver could activate an exit clause. Currently, Verstappen holds 3rd place with only 18 points ahead of George Russell, the very driver he could potentially replace at Mercedes. Russell's contract only runs until the end of 2025, creating an ideal opportunity for Verstappen's potential arrival. The timing of events does not appear to be a coincidence, but rather the result of meticulous planning. Statements by Red Bull boss Christian Horner revealed more than they intended. By acknowledging that it would be embarrassing for Mercedes if Red Bull produced a more powerful engine on its first attempt, Horner unwittingly confirmed the magnitude of the challenge his team faces. Developing a competitive power unit from scratch is a Herculean task that typically takes years to master. Red Bull will have only one chance to get it right, while Mercedes comes into the 2026 changes with decades of engine development experience. Herbert was even more detailed in describing how Mercedes could convince Verstappen. According to the former driver, Toto Wolff presented Verstappen with exactly what the team has in store for 2026, a demonstration so impressive that it would leave any driver dazzled. This precious gem would be proof that Mercedes has the car to win, the decisive element that was missing to convince the four-time champion to make the switch. Verstappen's irritation with the current situation at Red Bull is evident. A driver accustomed to battling for victories every weekend now finds himself celebrating podium finishes as if they were triumphs. For someone of Verstappen's caliber, this reality is unacceptable. At 27, he still has several years ahead of him and cannot afford to waste seasons in an uncompetitive car. The comparison with Lewis Hamilton is inevitable and enlightening. When Hamilton left McLaren to join Mercedes in 2013, many questioned the decision. McLaren was his team of choice, where he matured and won his first world title. But Hamilton had the foresight to look beyond the present and invest in the future. The result was 6 additional world titles and the status of greatest winner in history, alongside Michael Schumacher. Verstappen may be facing the same kind of decision that will define the rest of his career. The conversations between Verstappen and Wolff are said to have been very similar to those Niki Lauda had with Hamilton years ago. The promise is not just of a competitive car, but of the possibility of dominating a new era of Formula One. For a driver of Verstappen's ambition, that prospect is irresistible. The chance to be the protagonist of a new era of domination, this time with Mercedes, represents a unique opportunity to leave an even bigger mark on the history of the category. The timing of the possible change could not be more ideal for Mercedes. The German team needs a driver capable of maximizing the potential of its new project, someone with the experience and speed necessary to extract the most out of any technical advantage. Verstappen, with his 4 world titles and reputation for getting the most out of any car, would be the perfect driver to lead this new phase. For Red Bull, losing Verstappen would be a devastating blow. The Dutch driver is not only the face of the team, but also the main architect of its recent successes. Without him, Red Bull would have to completely rebuild its identity and find a new star capable of leading its in-house power unit project. The pressure on the Austrian team is only increasing as the rumors intensify. Formula One is on the verge of one of the most significant transfers in its modern history. If Verstappen does make the move to Mercedes, it will completely redefine the balance of power on the grid. The prospect of seeing the 4-time world champion racing in silver in 2026 is both exciting and transformative for the entire category. Verstappen's decision will not only affect his own future, but will shape the entire next era of Formula One. Will he have the courage to take another radical gamble, as Hamilton did a decade ago? Or will he remain loyal to Red Bull, even in the face of uncertainty about its future competitiveness? The answer to these questions may be closer than we think, and its consequences will reverberate for years to come in Formula One. What do you think of this potential bombshell in the driver market? Should Verstappen risk everything in pursuit of more titles or remain loyal to the team that took him to the top? Leave your opinion in the comments and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any details of this saga that promises to shake up the entire Formula One paddock.